ring it in.
Yeah, and I think we're live. I think we're rolling.
I think the ringer was the cue to go.
Yes. So we're very, very blessed at LFGwBG to have none other than Lambo Keith, and affectionately named by TK. So big shout out to the White Rhino. But yeah, we have nicknamed him Lambo Keith because of just a lifestyle and a presence that he brings. And so there's just an energy with you, man. I thought it'd be cool to like sit down and just open up. One, we come from different backgrounds. We're a little bit of a different age and genre, but I think also with us, you know, we have some similarities. And I think what's great with our show is we're just trying to pinpoint, you know, what elements of your life do you need different perspectives on? And are you sitting there feeling like you can't do something? Are you sitting there and feeling like you're stuck? Are you feeling like life always has you this way? We got RT pouring the bourbon. That is,
So we were trying to be discreet about that.
Yes, he was. But we're going to say Buffalo Trace. Is that what we're working with? Yeah, let's throw it up there.
Throw it up there. Why not?
All right. And those jeans are sponsored by Levi. That is right. Also correct. As you saw that curtsy. But no, I think, you know, if you have ambition and you want to know that there's more out there, listen to this show. I think that's where you're going to really see some people like Keith that have done something with themselves where they easily could have been lost in the crowd. They easily could have been just shuffled away. They easily could have given up numerous times. But there's just something about that word, perseverance. You know what I mean? A dog in the fight, something like that. Would you agree with that?
There is, and I think it comes from, like you said, we're from different backgrounds, right? And different genres, a lot of things, similar in a lot, but definitely not size. As I seen TK come in the door, your pedigree is of a different element here, so definitely not in size. But yeah, there's a dog in the fight, but you know the dog comes from something, and I don't think that many people know or learn that there's a dog in them unless there's a struggle that they come up with. There's a lot of silver spoon people out there, and, you know, kids, and I don't know if they realize the dog in them because it's given to them. But for different people like ourselves and others out there, I think the dog comes out when it's about survival.
So that's a perfect place to start. And the word survival is just we're all in a fight, right? We're all in a fight. We say this all the time at work. You know, we've got some people in the audience here, and some guys that I work with, and one of them in particular, Jared, just a great guy. And I think one thing we say a lot at the office is that, you know, attitude determines altitude. And, you know, that dog in the fight is something that comes from survival. Well, what makes a survivor? Adversity, challenges, right? Like those things. So as we kind of kick it all the way back to your startup, right? Talk about where you're from. Like, let everybody know, like, where did your life originate, and kind of just start from the beginning.
This is like the therapy session I avoided my whole life.
I mean, so if you want to lay down, feel free.
No. There's no lavender scent in here. It's bourbon scent.
That's right. That's right.
It might be
true
more
serum.
It might be more of my speed. But, man, you know, I've avoided this conversation my whole life. And it's hard. And no matter what people say, Lambo Keith, this, that, or wherever I've been, wherever I've come from, the hardest part is just bringing back the start, the truth that I've buried. And I've taught myself how to bury it and just move on. And so, you know, where do we start? I'm born and raised Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn, shout out.
Brooklyn, yeah. Basic startup, you know. Dad was in the Navy, came out. He's in construction. My mom was a hairstylist, and she was probably one of the best in Brooklyn at the time. Met my dad, and he was the man's man, the old school guy. You stay home, raise the kids, and I'm going to go out and work, you know, 19 out of the 24 hours.
This is a very different time. This is a very different time.
We're getting canceled after this.
Oh, dude, I'm already working on a shirt called #already canceled. So
already canceled.
We're expecting it. Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah.
But I would say that you're talking about a different time. So Pops was old school. He's an OG.
Yeah.
Right? So he was, you said Navy.
Yep.
And he meets your mom. Your mom was a hairdresser.
Yep.
And top of the line. They come in and now are you an only child?
I became an only child of them two. Yes. My dad had kids prior. My mom had kids prior.
So they come together, and you're the last of the bunch.
Yes, I am.
And your pops, talk about that. Leaving the Navy, right? Leaving the military. How long was he was he a lifer or was he a short timer in the military?
When I look at you and I think of me, I would say short timer, wasn't welcome, and was respectfully let go.
Okay. All right.
He just didn't follow the rules.
Hey, you know what? Some people are not meant to be bound.
But he'll wear the Navy hat till this day.
Yep.
Because he loves them.
Yep.
He just says, I just was not for them.
Right.
You know, maybe a Marine where you can just be a wild dog, but, you know, Navy, for some reason, there's a different structure.
Yeah.
And a different future.
Yeah.
And I don't think he was fit for that, obviously.
Would you say your dad was a tough guy?
My dad was a man's man, tough guy.
So a man's man, tough guy. So a tough guy.
To the core.
To the core. And your dad comes back and he starts going to work, I'm sure trying to provide and do those things. What did you see in your dad growing up that made you a little bit of who you are today, the good and the bad?
So good and bad. I'm not going to put them in order, and I'll let the audience and the viewers and listeners decide the difference. And I'm just going to tell you from what I think it is and how I feel. My dad was a protector. He was a provider. There was no gray area. What's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And I think from watching you and TK and how you run this household, I think you're not far off from my dad. And so being a protector, there was no getting in my mother's way, his wife's way. There was no disrespecting the family or, trouble at school. And if something was held in a certain manner, my father didn't like the message my mom told him because he was out at work and missed something, he went up there and handled it. He basically, said what he had to say and, things changed. So, how that's affected me is growing up. I'm a protector, and I think you see a certain aspect in me, and provider the same way. And I think it was old school then, right? There wasn't that sensitive love, that affection that is yearned for now or cried for. That love back then, that love language then was the man provides and the woman provides in their separate respective manners. And that might be he goes out to work, but she's working to keep the household tight. And that's a job in itself. Raising a kid and keeping a household tight and doing all of that is not, something to flinch at. And women over the time think that's like a bad thing that their title was that.
Yeah.
But really, there's a lot of respect in that. Right. It's not so hard to go out and just run a jackhammer if you're manual labor or sometimes manage people like you do and people in the crowd do. But sometimes running a household's hard, especially if I was your child, Well,
one thing this show we want to highlight is different perspectives, right? And we're talking about growing up in a very different time.
Yep.
Right. So as we look at Brooklyn, New York, and this is, 1980, 1985?
I was, I was born in the 80s.
Yeah. So this is like. This
was real Brooklyn.
Real Brooklyn.
This is probably the dying age into the early 90s, mid 90s. But yeah, this was as core as it gets.
And so this is where actions were more important than words. And what you probably just kind of described was a father that had a very aggressive style, right? For that time, it was just no messing around.
No.
And New York at that time, and we can't talk about the iconic New York City, Brooklyn, and not talk about the mafia.
Mm-hmm.
And your dad kind of found his way into kind of a relationship, we should call it.
Yep.
Is that fair to say?
Fair to say.
So a relationship with arguably one of the most iconic mafia members of all time.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind, talk a little bit about that. How did I know that shaped you? I know you saw things there. I know that you've witnessed, and we'll get into that in a more, which is a little harder to talk about. But talk about just the forming of this relationship that is obviously not small, because your father is trying to create this life, and then he comes across somebody that lives a very opposite life, and they bonded. Is that accurate?
I wouldn't say bonded. They connected on profitable and personable reasons. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe they profited, and my dad profited, but it profited to help his family.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't say he was proud of his decisions. I don't
Right.
think he was at all. And just based on how the relationship was created and how it was carried, I wouldn't say he thought he was a part of anything. He was just a man of his own and a father and a husband. And he did what he had to do at that time. Like you said, we're in different times. I mean, I don't know if people will do what a man like my father or other fathers out there would have done back then to feed their kids. And
Well, we got to keep in mind, right? We're talking about time frames.
oh, yeah.
And in the 80s, New York was one of the toughest cities in the country. If you were weak, you wouldn't live or much less survive or thrive.
Yep.
So it's a kill or be killed world, right? And that's just reality. So at this time in this world, your dad was the knight. Your dad was the guy trying to do the right thing. But how many times? I mean, man, I can't tell you. I'm a preacher's kid. Again, I've said this before, but I've been shot at twice before I was 16 years old. I got kicked out of multiple high schools. I did a lot of things that I hate that I did. Yeah. But as I've kind of worked through with really good people in my life, one of the things that I've been taught is that I created a persona that protected me during that moment. I made it through that moment. For your dad during that time, he created the best he could. And here's what I want our listeners to know. That doesn't make anybody wrong. I think, you know what I mean? Like a man that decides to do something for his family, protect his family, and if he breaks the law, there's a judgment call there, right? If he decides to go too far, there's a judgment call there. But who are we to judge? That's a crazy thing. And I know that we all have opinions these days. We want to put people in boxes. But man, there's so many people that I have met. Some of my best friends are felons. Some of my best friends have spent years, not one, years in prison. And I'm going to tell you, they're some of the nicest, appreciative, and respectful human beings you'll ever meet. But most people don't get to know that because they see the different perspective. They see something they immediately judge. They immediately want to just dismiss. Oh, you know this person. Oh, he affiliates with that guy. Oh, I heard this. And people immediately dismiss, but yet we know good people every day that are supposedly running this country that are fucking up at a level that you can't even imagine. And yet we're judgmental. So I just want anyone listening to know that I don't judge where your dad was. I don't judge what he did. And now he's formed a relationship with, can we say who that person was?
The Gotti family.
So the notorious Gotti family, which at that time was also very highly publicized, very highly in the media.
Yep.
And with that life comes choices. It doesn't mean that we judge. It doesn't mean that we look down upon, but with that life comes choices.
Yeah, absolutely.
And with those choices, as you look at it now as somebody that I feel like in their life is going to be an amazing father figure for some child, the kind of person that you are, the mentality, the mindset, the way that you've carved your life and the way that you believe in living your life, that comes from where you come from. Yeah. So as you look back at that, for people that may feel one way, how did you make a shift from a lifestyle of that to somebody today that works very legally, that provides, that has love, that has kindness? What do you feel like was something that happened back then that you've looked at? But man, it's formed this incredible guy that I'm blessed to know today.
I think it's like we started off saying, like, the dog in you, and the dog in you doesn't come out unless it's tested, right? Dogs aren't, they're provoked, right? They have a bad pit bulls. I mean, you got some soldiers.
We have 4 pit bulls. Yes,
you got some soldiers out there that got plowed over when they were just their tails were whipping me, which I'm feeling right now. But dogs, pit bulls, they have a bad rap. Some are raised poorly, and so they react. There's some human beings that were raised poorly, so pit bulls and humans don't have a differentiality on behavior based on where they come from, right? If you're treated poorly, you're going to react poorly. You don't know any better.
Right.
So I think it's the dog in you, but it has to be activated. And like I was saying, if you grow up with a silver spoon and you're never challenged or you're never put in adversity or put behind the 8 ball or back against the wall, you're never going to know what that is. For me, unfortunately, my dad got involved with people he shouldn't have. But at that time, they approached him. My dad was in the garbage and construction business, and
Yep.
he was just doing his thing by himself, making ends meet, putting meals on the table and gifts on on holidays. And they knew of him, and they approached him and said, "You have something that could benefit us, and we have something that could benefit you." And they know who you are. They know what you make. They know your kid's probably eating leftovers for 5 days. So they just put a briefcase down or a bag down. And they say, well, just need the keys to your business and mind your business and just go about your day. And when you do your jobs and whatever's in those trucks.
And I want to highlight something. There's no negotiation.
With my father, there was. For quite a time, my father didn't have a problem dying, so to say, like Jesus Christ on the cross on his own.
Right.
And
So he would stand for his morals
yeah.
over death.
And that was a tough thing for my mom to digest. And I learned that over time because grown up, and as I was growing up, I was the same way. There's things that I would fight, even if I was wrong, right? By the textbook. But by morals or ethics or love, I was right. And I'm not going to bend for what someone else wrote in a textbook for what I believe and what other people want.
Right.
So there's a conflict. So my dad was the same way. And that's, like you're saying, that's where I got it from. But not only did I get from that upbringing, my dad would work, 19 to 24 hours or, 40 or 48 hours, come home. And the first thing he did was change, grab me, and we went to the park to play baseball. And at that time, my mom knew, boom, kitchen, stoves on, ovens on. They're going to come back, meals on the table. He takes a 2-hour nap and back out for 3 days.
Yep.
And that was a routine. But all I saw was the first thing, my dad was a protector, a provider, a lover. But on the flip side, how he did that was 2 or 3 days out in the street doing what he was doing, whether it was his legit job or doing things for other people, whatever. It wasn't until, a bad incident that changed my life that turned the dog on in me and said, I don't have a choice at this point in life, but, take what's happening and either let it ruin me or run me, or I use this. And unfortunately, and I don't condone this, here I am at 38 years old, going in therapy now to be better as a person, but I don't condone people taking anger and using it as fuel. That's, that I wouldn't do that. And I did that for many years.
Which I'm going to say something, and this is one of the things we want to highlight on the show. My friends are very different than me, right? I have used anger my entire life. I have played with a chip on my shoulder. Yep. I tend to teach that to the right mindset because I think there are people that respond well to it and people that don't. So I think that's a great example just in general of Keith and I's bond and friendship. I feel like anger has helped me, right? And I also know what he's saying in the sense that, anger shouldn't be your motivator. And when emotion is your motivator, it really takes away from the purpose of whatever you're upset about typically. So I do agree with you, but in the sense of, do I use anger to frustrate me and fuel me? I do. But I see what you're saying.
It's easy. It's the easiest thing to adapt to, understand, and justify.
Yeah.
And if one thing I want to try to get into one day is helping young people understand that when you're brought up in an unfortunate situation, or you're in a trauma situation as a child, that the first thing we understand is pain, hurt. It's bad. There's nothing good out of trauma. Otherwise, It's not defined trauma.
Right.
And so you go into that fight or flight stage where you have to protect yourself. And at 8 years old, I had no choice but to figure it out on my own. And that just put on armor, put on shield, and I just became defensive and tough. And the first reaction was aggressive. And all that was doing was, for me, protecting myself from relationships based on what I lost, or technically lost in my life at 8 years old. What I watched happen in the dynamic of my family, I put up shields, and that was aggressiveness, that was anger, that was all of this tough guy persona that people would be scared to come in to that circle. They'd be scared because they didn't know what to expect. So all I was doing was defensively protecting my heart from trauma that I've been through, because I didn't want to accept, a real friend or accept something or love. So I used aggression. I used tough guy stuff. And, there's a lot of people that earn respect, and that's what they think is worth something in life, is respect. It is on the right level, not as a tough guy.
But you're talking about learning this at 8 years old.
Yeah.
That's,
8 years old.
Brooklyn, New York, 8 years old, learning these kind of lessons. Not everybody that's listening grew up like that.
No.
So I think just understanding where some people come from explains a lot. And there's a lot of things you've already explained in your childhood that I've never experienced in mine. I never had to deal with certain things like that. I had a very different childhood. But we both found a love for sports.
Yep.
So eventually our kind of competitive junkie spirit turned into competitiveness. And I know with me, I played some baseball, but I loved football. You played baseball phenomenally well. Did you play football as well?
I played football in Pop Warner when I was younger,
Yeah.
and I got hurt when I was like 12. I was playing, and my dad was very competitive.
Yeah.
And he always played. I was right always at the, in summer sports or any other organized sports, there's like dates for birthday cutoffs. And my birthday would be right at the cutoff. So my dad would be like, oh, he could go down in age or up. Now he's going up. And I would get bulldozed. I mean, I'm up at the plate and the kids are just throwing heaters past me. I'm the smallest guy on every team always. I'm the youngest on every team always. So I played football up to Pop Warner, and then I was playing against these real good guys. And
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I'm going to go back to baseball. But I got hurt bad in Pop Warner football at a young age. I was hospitalized. Unfortunately, it was an accident, whatever. But, so I just stayed after that. I tried playing church basketball. I had a bad temper, got fouled out in the first quarter. I was gone.
Yeah.
My mom, my sisters, they were like, we're not coming no more. You don't even make it through the first quarter. We're out. But baseball was it. And they just tried to keep me in sports throughout the year. So I wasn't in the street.
Right.
So it was like, try hockey. I was playing roller hockey, and that's a joke. Anyone knows me. I can't skate, ski, snowboard, nothing. So I was playing that game, and all I was playing was the aggression game. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to be the guy that throws the gloves and fights every time, right? That works. The crowd loves it, and it fits me. I get my anger out. That didn't last long. Parents are around the rink, and you can't just keep fighting. You're not getting paid to entertain a crowd. Parents are there. So that didn't work. Basketball didn't work. So baseball worked, and fortunately, like I said, my dad would come home and take me straight to the park, and he was like not easy. We would be on a concrete like men's softball field, like old school stuff, and he's drilling ground balls. I would go home with shins bleeding, and then when that was enough, we'd go into the grass, a little grass area with dogs running around. And he would drill balls left and right and make me dive. I would dive in dog shit, and I'm like crying. He's like, "What the fuck are you crying for? You want to go home and play with Legos, or you want to play ball with your pops?" And I'm like, no, I want to stay here. And I would go home bleeding and shit. And my mom like, you're home 1 hour and this is what you're doing? He was like, mind your business. It's my son. Mind your business. He's fine.
But in that, you actually got good at baseball.
Yeah.
And how did your high school career turn out?
High school, I was lucky enough to go to a very competitive high school in the country. And it worked out well. I mean, I wasn't in the group, but it was my teammates that were, 6 of them were in like ESPN magazine. We were 6th, I believe, if I remember, that was a while back. 5th or 6th in the country for high schools.
And what position were you?
Second base.
Second base.
Second base. Yep. So, I had some really good friends out of high school drafted.
Yeah.
Played on a very good competitive team, and all through the summer, even growing up. I mean, we went to the Little League World Series in '92. We traveled to London, Amsterdam. I was with the same group of guys in Brooklyn, and it was just
so. Wait a minute,
crazy.
A bunch of Brooklyn teenagers were out in Amsterdam playing baseball.
Red light district. I was the first person in line, and I'm walking down.
There we go.
I had no
Tell the
idea.
truth.
I had no idea, but I found manhood at the red light district, and I was like, "Oh wait, what?" And then
To all our listeners and viewers, if you don't know what the red light district is, Google it. The internet is undefeated. But so high school, get to travel the world.
Yep.
Baseball's like obviously it. Yep. I mean, you're on the big stage. You're traveling around. Was there opportunity after high school to play?
Yeah, there was opportunities going to different college programs, and the problem is, and I know we didn't touch a lot on it, but my dad is paralyzed at this point from what had occurred, an incident, and I'm sure we'll go back to it at some point, but an incident that occurred with my dad, workplace, accident. And so my dad's paralyzed at this time. My mom's his caretaker. She gives up her life, and she was like, I'm married to this man. This is what I vowed to do. And, crazy as shit you don't find today. Some people will be like, dump you in a nursing home and be gone. But my mom was like, nope. The day he was allowed to be released from the hospital, she pushed his ass in a wheelchair out the door, picked his ass up, 230-pound man. She's 110 pounds. Threw him in the car and vowed to care for him till the day he died. And unfortunately, that put her, in the ground sooner than him. But, wildness and just, it's just a crazy story. So yeah, we got to travel and do a lot of things with baseball, and because of them, and opportunity in the high school, then college, different things, and because of my dad's situation and my mom's loyalty, as I've gotten older, I realize what really matters most, and being there for those. And baseball is not a career for everyone.
But you said a lot for everybody listening.
Yeah.
Let me siphon it down to something, and then we'll go back to something. But what you just said there, right? What do you feel like you learned? You said you learned something from it. What did you learn from all of that? What lesson, right? If we learn from it, it's no longer a mistake, it's a lesson. Yeah. When we don't learn from it, it's a mistake, it's a fuck up, it's whatever. So what would you give somebody that's been through something similar or worse, that you've been through, that you've learned from that? What do you feel like you've picked up from that the most?
I mean, there's a ton of things, and I'm still learning all these years later. I'm still learning. I was 8 years old. Now I'm 38. That's 30 years that have gone by that, I failed to want to learn about in the first 10 or 15. But just being true to yourself, what's important is your values, and if you could find what you value the most and being true to yourself, that's important, and really learning the situation. And if you're a dog, you're going to figure it out. If you're not a dog, then team up with a dog. But it's hard for me to discuss one specific scenario or something that, I took from it, because there's so much. And as I just said, over the years, I'm transitioning. I mean, from the day we met, I don't know what happened. I was coming out to your company for the first time. We were at some welcoming thing in the hotel. And LeMayo, who's here, was like, "Oh, I can introduce you to BG. You're gonna love him." And it's funny because I just started healing from the surgery, but he's like, he introduced us, and not that we're sizing anybody up. You don't do that. Clearly, I'm not sizing you up. I mean, that'd be crazy. But you're like, "Oh yeah, okay." So LeMayo kind of put some things in your ear, and you're like, "Yeah, well, I'm gonna go swim from St. Kitts to Neves, whatever that island is."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Who the fuck does that?" And you're like, "Yeah, well, let's go, man up, dude." And I'm like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" 30 seconds in, and he's like challenging me to swim with fucking sharks.
And what did you say?
I said, "What's the fucking site? I'll sign up now."
Immediately. Jared, he literally said it. I was like, I'm swimming from Nevis to St. Kitts, which is the largest open ocean race in the Caribbean. And you're like, "Dude, I'm in." And it was 30 minutes into meeting you, and I was like, "Who is this guy?" So we got to back up here, right? So you learn that, but as you go back, you've talked about something. Mom battling a lot, fighting a lot. Dad had an incident. What was that incident? What happened that was a dramatic change and kind of the shift in the family structure?
All right. So, my dad had a lot of construction contracts, and when I say construction, it's open-ended. But, I would go to work with him anytime there was opportunity. If there was a day off, President's Day, some holiday at school, or whenever my dad said it was a holiday for him, he'd be like, tell my mom he's coming to work with me tomorrow. And that meant getting up 4 a.m., had my little construction boots and all my gloves, and just like my dad, and we go out. This specific time was October 31st, 1992, and my dad felt like I was going to go to work with him that day. So the night before, he told my mom, and we got up, and I went out with my dad, and he had different jobs, whether it was picking up medical waste from hospitals. Those are dismembered body parts and whatnot, and or just construction sites, garbage sites, whatever.
Right.
So this specific day, we went out and we got out to New Brunswick, New Jersey, early in the morning. Dad was always early. That's why it kind of ingrained in me. And we're waiting for it to open so my dad can, quote unquote, dump the load out of his truck into the site. Something was weird that day. They didn't open on time, and somehow another entrance opened, and somebody pulled up in a pickup truck, said this entrance is opened. He went around. As he went around, he got a flat tire. As he went to the place where he was supposed to go to dump the contents of the load, the truck was just not working. Everything was broken. Like, tires flat, the trailer's now broke. The guy who was helping to assist in the site, was helping and then disappeared in his pickup truck, and things got weird.
And you're with your dad this whole time?
Yep, I'm with my dad. So I wake up, it's like 7:30 in the morning, and I'm sleeping inside the cab of the truck. And,
right.
It's 18-wheeler, big truck. My dad had some nice trucks. And I wake up, and, 8-year-old boy, first thing you gotta do when you wake up is you gotta go to the bathroom. Well,
yeah.
I had to go to the bathroom. I get out, I tell my dad, hey, Dad, I gotta go to the bathroom. It's not number one, it's number two.
Yeah.
So he's like, all right, give me a second. I'll put you, we dumped the load, so I'll put you inside the trailer and you'll be private. So he put me up in the trailer, and, I walked down a little bit from in the trailer. It's empty, and I'm doing my thing or whatever. And next thing you know, I just hear bang, bang, bang. And I'm like, what was that? And I turn around, and all of a sudden the door from the trailer, and if anyone understands, construction trucks, they're steel doors. They're 800 pounds of steel. This door comes swinging around, slams closed, opens, and just keeps, because the flat tire was on the right side, just physics and all of that. The door is like slamming
Swinging open,
yeah. So I run to the front, I look down, there's my dad on the floor, covered in blood, and to this day, I can't draw. I can draw the picture. Like, I could tell you details of what I seen. I didn't know the body can actually foam.
Right.
And I'm seeing foam, white foam bubbles coming out of my dad's head.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is going on? Like, what just happened?
And what had just happened was your dad had been shot.
It was an attack on my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were 6?
8.
8.
8.
8 years old.
8 years old.
And it was an attack, a hit. And he was shot how many times?
It's unknown. Basically, because of what occurred, he didn't actually drop at the moment. The door actually hit him at the same time.
Wow.
So it was like a push,
Yeah.
and everything else combined to kind of cover it up. Door
Right.
broke. It was the truck hit him, the car hit him, whatever.
Right, right.
So yeah, so it's unknown, but the door actually did the most damage. Yeah, so the door did the most damage. Got hit, had a heart attack, had a stroke, and everything combined with it.
So he had a heart attack and a stroke from the incident?
Yeah, and now he's DOA. Ambulance comes. So back up, what happened is I'm stuck inside the trailer. I played a lot inside the trailer. I don't know how people perceive it, especially in today's world. But, back in the day, I played a lot. Like, when I was bored, my dad would give me, like, back in old school, handballs, the blue ones.
Yeah.
I would stay inside of a, 12, 15-foot empty track. I would just be dodging the ball off the wall, playing. And there's a ladder in there you could climb up.
Poor man's racquetball.
Yeah, whatever. Just playing ball, doing what I could do.
Yeah.
And so there's a ladder inside, for safety purposes. You can climb up, and I used to climb up and look. And so this whole thing breaks out. Next thing you know, the door's done slamming.
Yeah.
It's closed.
Yeah.
I can't go nowhere. 800-pound door, I can't open. And the last thing I saw was my dad's head and his body, blood, pool of blood and foam, bubbles. And I'm like, I don't know what to do.
So you saw that, and then the fucking door shuts.
Closed.
And is there light in there?
It's open. The top's open.
Okay.
Top's open. It's just, doors closed. At
So
the
that was
first
just
moment,
like scene, the movie's over, boom.
you're 8 years old and boom, you're trapped inside this trailer. It's like standing next to you and TK. It's towers. Like me, I'm standing, I'm like, I ain't got nowhere to go. Where am I going? How do I get out of here? And all I thought was, what I seen.
Yeah.
And as I'm looking around, I realized, oh, the stairs. I run up the stairs. I climb down the outside, and next thing you know, another truck comes in. Happened to be one of my dad's friends who I knew, just because I knew seeing him all the time, throughout the days, the weeks, work days. It was one of my dad's buddies pulling in, and I just darted. I was running, running. And he was driving away, and it felt like it was a forever run. I'm running. I'm like,
trying to catch him
and
stop him.
he's not even really moving. I mean, he's probably going 5 miles an hour, but at this moment, it felt like he was going.
Yeah.
Finally caught up to him. And I'm like trying to explain it. And I don't remember. I'm not going to try to recreate a scene. I don't remember anything after that. The only thing I remember after that was sitting in like a blanket in his truck, and then being transported by the police to the hospital my dad was transported to.
Right.
We're out in Jersey. My mom, my family, we lived in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So I don't even know how many hours it was till somebody came, but I was in that hospital just sitting there with a blanket, and I can't recreate it because I don't remember. I just remember one of the things, and I remember in segments, and over the years it kind of got put together.
Yeah.
But, one of the segments is seeing the door swing and look down. Another segment was just sitting in the hospital and with a blanket on, sitting there, and like I didn't know where I was. It was like you watch these like movies where you see these cold hospital emergency room areas, right? That's all I could think of. Like I can't actually tell you what I seen. It's just what I feel in my brain when I think about it. And then I just remember years after that, hearing stories. But my mom lived in the waiting room. She slept day in, day out.
Well, let's catch everybody up. Your dad survived.
Oh yeah. So my dad was DOA. They count him out. He was dead when he arrived. He was out.
DOA. And then
they were working on him.
Tough son of a bitch.
Yeah. They were working him, but the paperwork was DOA. But some reason, it's the God, somebody out there looking for us. They worked him in the ambulance and they brought him back to life. I mean, he was breathing.
Yeah.
When he got to the hospital, he was breathing. Then they immediately put him on the breathing machines.
Yeah.
They put a trach in. He was in everything. And that's how he stayed for 3 months. And then he went into a coma. So he fell into a coma. And again, all this is being told to me as I'm growing up. But, the doctors would tell my mom he's a vegetable. Like, if he even has a chance to wake up, which is slim,
right,
he'll be a vegetable. And it's no quality of life. My dad, we're sitting here talking today, and I'm 38. I'll be 39 in May. My dad was 39. I can't imagine what the heck is going on right now. And I think about it every day.
Yeah.
And this is 30 years ago. And I sit there today, and I look at my dad, and I'm like, I don't know how you're doing it. 69 years old. I don't know how you did it. So, yeah, he was DOA. And 3 months go by, and they keep telling my mom, pull a plug.
Now, how old are you when this
8.
happens?
I'm 8.
8 at this time.
Yep.
How, basically through middle school and high school, as you talked about, the situation changed things.
Yeah.
How did it change things at home with your dad being a tough guy, an OG, and now dealing with things that any tough guy has to deal with? And that's your invincibility has been lifted. And now you see that you are no longer invincible.
Yeah.
How did that change him, in your opinion?
It hurt him.
Yeah.
It was tough. So my mom never pulled the plug, despite what the doctor said. She's like, my mom's not a religious woman.
Mm-hmm.
My mom doesn't believe in anything. She put me through church and, baptized me in communion, confirmation. She was all about it. She would take me. She just felt it wasn't her thing. But my mom was a real person. She was. You remember that song by Warren G, Regulators?
Yeah.
That's when I think of my mom. That song comes on. Like at her funeral, if I could have played that song,
that would have been that would have been a tune.
Yeah, that's it. That's the tune for my mom. There's a lot of songs, but that it was my mom's way, and that's what kind of I'm thinking about. Naming the foundation I'm opening for her now is my mom's name was Sandy, and I was going to think about Sandy's Way Foundation, like it was her way.
Wow.
And yeah, she defied the odds of doctors and medical and science, and she was like, "Nah, when you guys leave, and it's just me and him, I feel when I hold his hand, I know he's alive." And he's a crazy son of a bitch. Like I know he's telling me, he's like, "Don't do it. Like I'm here.
Yeah.
Give me my chance. I'm fighting."
So how long was he in a coma?
3 months. 3 months, and one day opened his freaking eyes.
Just like that?
Boom. Opened his eyes.
Man.
Opened his eyes. Next thing you know, my mom's working with him, and he's like, just with his right arm, right hand, fingers.
Yeah.
She would have him blink. She's like, if you understand what I'm saying, blink. But because of the stroke, he was blind in his right eye and paralyzed in his left arm, paralyzed in his left leg. So any movement was just one eye and one hand and one leg.
Did he ever regain full mobility and everything?
So he spent 6 months in New Jersey hospital where they started occupational physical therapy. My mom knew from the immediate start, they were trying to pull a plug. And here we are now. My dad's alive. Are you going to get the best care from a medical group that wanted to kill him 3 months prior?
Yeah.
Right? So my mom was working on getting him to NYU. And, my mom cried and fought and did a lot. And finally, the doctors there said, as soon as he's stable at this point, we'll get him over. And they did, and spent every money that my mom had left. My dad was a breadwinner. There was nobody else in the house making money after I was born. So when my dad went down, there was no more money.
Right.
And that's a whole nother story where people donating gifts and charity, and Christmas is different. I mean, this happened in October, and my life changed from that moment forward. The holidays were never the same. And so my mom was a breadwinner. She did everything she had to do.
You say holidays are never the same because just people were more charitable towards you, or
it wasn't like a family or wholly together. It was donations. You knew that gift wasn't wrapped because every other gift was wrapped different. Or it was like, what the hell is this? I don't even know what this is. Who bought that for me? Like, that shit wasn't on Santa's list.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is that? Like, and it was just obvious. People come.
So it was obvious people were
coming
helping
in.
you out.
Those guys are showing up with garbage bags of toys. Like, hey, how are you? Boom. Like you see the shit in the movies now, right? Just trying to do what they can do to pacify the situation, act like they care, keep the family at peace.
Yeah.
Take care of them for a little while. And the worst thing that happened for him is my dad lived.
Right.
That was the worst thing that could have happened. So yeah, but my mom got him moved to NYU, and he spent 6 months there, total 13 months in hospital total, and he walked out of NYU 13 months later.
And how old were you when he walked out?
I was 9.
Okay.
Yeah,
so that's about a year.
Yeah, a whole year.
Yeah.
About a whole year, yeah.
Whole year.
Yeah.
And then how was life different going home with him?
Yeah.
With this experience? Did it change him?
Yeah, it changed him. My dad was a man's man. And
Yeah.
when you can't piss or shit yourself, feed yourself, like you can't get out of bed, you can't do shit. Like
Yeah.
You're 40 years old and you just came from being a man's man. Your life was in the Navy, and then you're in this life, and regardless of that life or regardless of the Navy, my father was born a dog. And that's who he was. And, can't imagine, making a dog sit and now you're going to give it a bubble bath and cut its fingernails and, hand feed the,
Hey, careful.
Rhino.
My dogs are listening. They don't get any of that.
I know. Rhino's like scratching. I'm feeling like Rhino's breathing out here. It's just not the life.
Yeah.
And, my dad, I don't know if he knew in the beginning what was really happening, but then, time came and he knew, I don't want to live this way. Like, nobody needs to take care of me. I should have died there. How many times I've heard in my life, I should have just died. Somebody should have let me die, and so growing, after that point, after 9, my mom is no longer a mom to a 9-year-old boy. My mom is now a nurse and a caretaker 24/7 to my dad.
Yep.
Who's having seizures. So all these new things are coming out from his medical condition. I mean, I watch my dad laying on a bed, probably your size at the time, get thrown off the bed in the middle of a seizure, bang, slam on the floor, break the door in his bedroom. And I'm like, me and my mom are like, what the hell's going on? Like, what the fuck is this? No idea what seizures were. So we're learning.
But what I also hear is that she had to put her attention there, which drew her attention away from you.
Yeah. Essentially, yes. And she did a damn good job managing both. And playing mom, playing wife, playing nurse, playing every role.
Mm-hmm. But was your mom home much?
At home?
Yeah.
That's all she was.
Well, I mean, I guess
before and after.
Home.
Before and after.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was born, my mom was a stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
So
then when your dad was home, she was with him at the house.
Oh, yeah. That was it. That was
so how often she'd leave the house?
Oh, never.
Never leave the house.
Oh, you couldn't leave. No.
No.
I would have, when I was playing baseball, Little League, I'd have friends. So all my friends, their fathers or moms or whoever, coaches, everyone was taking turn picking me up, taking me back, trying to keep me occupied.
Yeah.
Fucked up part is the guy who was involved in all this shit, his son was my age. They would pick me up and take me to their house and to play. And years later, I'm like, the fuck?
Yeah.
We were just joking earlier, and I'm not going to bring it up, but like, bring your enemies close, right? Scary that shit is, right? We were joking about it earlier today, me and you.
We were, yeah.
How you bring the enemies close, and who's crazier, someone that just wants to kill this person or someone who could bring them close? And that, I found out years later, and I ain't going to lie, man, I got a little animosity with me.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that...
But you know
if
what?
we weren't sitting here, we wouldn't know each other for a real reason, right? Business and success and stuff.
Yeah.
If my life went a different route and I allowed it, I probably would have went after his kid. And I have no shame saying it. No shame.
But you didn't. And I think, I know if people that know me are watching this show at all, right, as we're just getting started, there's definitely a handful I know that have bad home lives right now.
Yep.
That have single parent situations right now. Mm-hmm. Dad's not around.
Yep.
I mean, your dad, he would have been around, but he couldn't be, so he was there, but your family was still complete. But yet, you had adversity. You had to have somebody pick you up for practice. You had to have someone help you out. You had to lean on other people other than your family to get what you wanted out of life, sports, everything. For people, I want you to talk to those people for a second. I think that's just a powerful moment. If there are kids listening, male athletes, female athletes, whatever, people listening, but I know that these young athletes, they are going through it. They're 15, they're 14, they're 16, they're 17, they're 18, whatever, they're in high school, middle school. They, right now, don't have what the rich kid has, that has both his parents, that lives a good life. They've got a nice house. They've got a great family. They eat dinner on Sunday after church. They don't have that. How did you use not having that to propel you forward? What can you share with somebody listening right now that they can use as they're maybe going through this?
I'll share it. I'm not promoting it.
Yeah.
I'm not condoning it.
This is all about different perspectives. There's no wrong opinions here.
I mean, here I am at 38, and I have no shame in saying it. I'm proud, and everyone should do it. I have a therapist every Tuesday at 2:00.
Yeah.
And I'm finding out stuff about myself that I wish I never was. So much more happier space. And I keep going back because we catch up. I mean, you were in LA hanging out with me. We were kicking it, and we talked.
Great time in LA.
I think I get the most when I'm with your family out here in Georgia. It's a different feel. It's a different vibe. It's weight off my shoulders. And I tell you, every time I get here, I'm like, wow, I feel weightless. People around, everybody here, it's like you meet them for 10 minutes and your in-laws, everybody, just like family. You're just talking away as if you knew them. You get lost in it.
Yeah.
So here I am finding myself more and more at 38. But yeah, when this all went down, things I've done, I just, I hate to talk about it. I just went cold. I went independent. Like after I was able to realize, like, I don't want no motherfucker doing shit for me no more. Like I seen it. I seen it. And, it's like, what happened to my mom, my dad? Like, why? What's going on? And did
you have anger inside you? Did it feel? I mean, you mentioned being angry earlier, so
yeah.
I'm guessing that if you're angry already,
not early in,
right?
Confused early in, sad early in.
But as you get into high school, and do you ever look?
Angry.
But do you ever look at the kid that has everything and just be like, man, what the fuck?
Nah.
So where did you? So you just turned cold in the sense of
lights out,
no emotion,
no
heart,
lights out.
How did that help you?
It didn't. It may have. It should. Yeah. All right. So I'll take that back.
Come on.
So
Be real with them.
let me take my therapist hat off. Right?
Yeah,
I'll save that for Tuesday.
This ain't no therapy session. This is reality.
That's reality. It's cool to get here now. It helped me, and it helped me for that time. And I don't know if I'd done things differently, I'd be where I am today. I don't know if you and I'd be sitting here, all your family, friends, everybody here, and everybody else that's watching. But we wouldn't be here if I was different. But yeah, getting angry, getting cold, being shut off. I mean, I go home and just.
Did that make you a better athlete?
It's the dog in you.
It made you meaner.
I mean, man, listen, I got on that field and that was therapy. You between those, I'm playing ball. You between those two white lines, man. Yeah. It's therapy for me. It was therapy for me, because there was so much more to focus on. There was so much more at that moment I was responsible for, and that was my only way to let some emotion out and exert myself. Because after that, when I went home, we were talking about it earlier. I grew up in a disciplined house.
Yeah,
it was structured. And I'm doing a lot of that talking now with other people about today's world and what's right and wrong and how that shit's out the window. Like, we do something that's wrong, but the government's, sorry, whatever. It's just straight up shitting on us left and right. Lying to us, slapping us, abusing us, locking us up, paying us $1,200, wear your mask, don't wear your mask, take some shit, okay, you don't need it no more, whatever. I grew up with structure. And I knew from the minute I woke up what my job duty was: to get myself dressed, get my book bag, get my shit, and cereal was on the table. Nobody was telling me to get this stuff together. Hey, it's almost school time. Let's get dressed. No, that shit wasn't in my house. That shit was at the end of the couch every day. And I got up and I was responsible for doing it. And I knew my breakfast was there. So it was just like boom, 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 eat, brush my teeth, and boom, my mom's waiting at the door. It was a cycle. So, growing up, it was just, after everything happened, it was just still structured now with anger. And it's weird. And I can't speak to say that anyone else could relate to my specific, situation or trauma or scenario. But, does it make you better? Yeah, it fuels you. It fucking fuels you. It brings the dog in you. It fuels you. And you get out there and you just want to let it all out. Maybe it's in the wrong way. It's the wrong state of mind. But it's fucking working at that time.
I want to disagree with you. I want to say that you're absolutely fucking crazy, and no one needs to listen to that.
No, I wouldn't. I would tell her.
But here's what I'm going to tell you.
I would delete this.
But here's what I'm going to tell you.
This is the worst.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. I think that, here's the deal. Everybody wants to sugarcoat shit. Everybody wants to make things sound like everything's going to be okay. And if you just pray and you just believe and you just live a good life, sometimes that's not enough. Sometimes it's not. And you're going to fucking cry and you're going to scream and you're going to yell and you're going to curl up in a fucking ball. That doesn't make you lesser. That makes you human. You're hearing it right here. Here's two tough guys. And I'm telling you, I cry. I've failed myself. I've fallen down. I've been embarrassed. I know what that feels like. I know when someone thinks I can't do something. It's part of the reason I'm sitting in this fucking chair right now. Because when you tell me I can't do something, the title of this show is LFGwBG because that's what I tell myself. I don't want to hear any bullshit. I say this all the time to myself. That is, you either look for an excuse or you look for a way. So let's fucking go. Let's go find the way. I'm tired of hearing why you can't do it. And here's a guy sitting right in front of you that lost it, had it, lost it, had it, lost it, dealt with it, not perfect. Mom's dealing with dad, dad's dealing. There's 1,000 fucking excuses sitting in that couch right there. But what I see is Lambo fucking Keith. I see a guy that took all of those things and said, you know what, world, fuck you. Throw what you want at me. But because I am here by a divine purpose, because God put me here, because I have purpose and I have plan, no one can stop me. So I hope you feel charged. I hope you feel belief. I hope you feel what exists inside of you, because if you don't have it, that's why maybe you're listening today. Get some. Get some of that right there. Get some of this right here. But don't look for a fucking excuse. That is the beginning of the failure. Look for a way. And so you come back to sports with kind of a dead personality. A little frustrated, a little pissed off. You get better. You play sports. You have a chance. How does baseball turn out? What happens there?
As I look back, I think about it, and I'm like, did people feel bad for my situation? Did they just drag me along? But I mean, there's some coaches. There's two sides to this I laugh about all the time. This is a story I got to share because I fucking love it. This is where the shit talking's gonna come out. So there's coaches that just knew the core of me. Like, I know him.
Yeah,
we're gonna put up with his shit, and we're gonna try and make sure we get him there. And there, I had Jan. He was a coach for mine when I was younger. Never gave up on me and seen me through the whole way, even into the college process. He put me with a coach that he knew, a head coach that he knew was tough, rugged motherfucker, my father, and said, you're going to give up Division I, all the Division I opportunities, all 17 of them. You're going to go to Division II. You're going to be close to home because this coach speaks your language. He's fucking tough. And all the middle infielders and all the center field, the outfielders, fast motherfuckers, little guys like you, they get drafted. 13 of the last 10 years. Fuck Division I. Go where they're watching people like you.
I hope everybody that
I was like, well, wait, no, man, I want to be on TV. I want to be wearing the colors and Miami U, Tennessee,
pride of saying D1 alone,
LSU, all those big schools. Stanford was big when I was a kid, so I'm like, I thought that's where I had to go, but I'm like, looking back, fuck that. You got, like you said, you gotta find you. And learn to be comfortable with you and knowing this is my environment. Division I, or top 5, brokerage firm on Wall Street. That shit don't fucking matter because I'm sitting in a room right now with BG and his colleagues, and they work with multi-millionaires they never worked at Merrill Lynch. They never worked at Morgan Stanley. They never went to LSU. They never went to Georgia State.
Never
or
graduated
NYU
college.
Or anywhere. Someone never went to college.
Yeah.
And it's just wild because finding you, it takes a long time. But you got to be fucking tough. And you said it before, there's no fucking excuse. And not everyone's built tough or thick.
No.
And I'm not saying it's good either because it ruined a lot for me for years. Ruined relationships, friendships, business.
Yeah.
Things that I wanted to get into that I didn't get into that, look, I think... I never say it, but a lot of people yell at me. I'm doing okay right now, right? I'm all right.
Doing good.
I'm doing good. I'm doing all right. Good. There's things I look back on that if I had not been angry or had not been closed-minded or connected with people like you or others that just really dug into me and said, listen, motherfucker, yeah, you can go fuck somebody up at a bar. We get it. But you got a heart. You're strong in there. You're stronger than your fist. You're stronger than your jaw.
Yeah.
Find it. And that's where success turned. That's where, when I found who my true self was, that's where things changed. And listen, I don't know anymore. In this world, there's probably 9 out of 10 fucking people that are fucked up from some trauma. This ain't a secret no more. It used to be a secret. You couldn't say you were depressed. 10, 15, 20 years ago, you say you're depressed, you fucked up.
Yeah, no one knows what that means.
You're fucked up. He's weird. Get the fuck out. Move him out of the neighborhood. He's out. We can't hang out with him. Today, I think everyone is getting comfortable with something being wrong. Childhood, health, something mental, whatever it is.
Would you say that you've been depressed in your life?
I'm fucking still depressed.
You're still depressed?
Still fucking depressed. That shit don't go away.
All right, so I just want everyone to hear this for a second. And Keith and I are very good friends, so I know he allows me this. You have 2 very beautiful vehicles, and one is a G-Wagon that has been customized and is just absolutely gorgeous. And then the other is my dream car, the Rolls-Royce Wraith.
Yep.
And you live in 2 areas of the country that anybody in the world would want to live in. You live in New Jersey, and you have a beautiful place there. And then you got a beautiful place in L.A. Mm-hmm. You fly privately. Me and Jared were laughing at this earlier. Our guys owe us $44 on a weekend bet. His friends owe him what? 400,000. Like you'll be like, man. I'm like, man. Jared owes me 40 from this weekend, and
I
he's
probably
like, yo, man.
somebody right now who owes me $5,000, and he'll be like, oh fuck, man, dude, it's coming. I got my taxes
coming. We won't put him on blast.
My taxes are coming. My taxes.
If he doesn't pay in 30 days, you got to come back and drop his name, though. All right, we're gonna do that. But I would say that just get into it, man. And what you said is so powerful. This is what the show is all about. It really is when I feel driven, I just know that there's some people out there right now that are stuck. I know there's some people out there that think they can't get to where they want to be. They've got excuses and they need to find ways. And here's something that's very uncomfortable to touch on. It's not easy to talk about. But the reality is this: sometimes you got to do some fucked up shit to get to where you want to be. Sometimes you might have to go dead. Sometimes you might have to go cold in heart just for a time being, for a season to get through it. Because, man, I've been there. This is not the time to share my story, but you and I, this is where we talk about our similarities. And you literally saw your dad, who was a hero of yours, right, get shot. Your mom changed. You lost a lot of the family that was Brooklyn, 1980, right? And there's still not an excuse to you. And to this day, at 38, about to be 39, Lambo Keith is one of the most kindest, most generous, most giving individuals. How we met, yes, he did come up to me and say that, but also how we met was our buddy Jared was like, man, this guy wants to talk to you. He's like, he just wants to get to know you. And I was like, man, who is this guy? Because we just hadn't met. We were at a company trip. I know he was good enough to be on our trip, so he had to be good enough to talk to. And I'd talk to anybody anyway. But as soon as we connected, man, there was like an energy there that just came out of you. And that's what I respect most. That's why I just appreciate you being on the show and talking about this, because you came from so much of what I think people are dealing with today that the news doesn't talk about. The government sure shit in addressing. And that's perseverance and toughness and different perspectives. And guess what? Let me just go ahead and tell everyone listening, I don't care if you're fucking 15 years old or you're 58 years old, life's not fucking fair. Quit looking for fairness. One of my friends and one of my mentors and somebody that I just love deeply, Jesse Itzler. Shout out to Jesse. Jesse says, if you don't have a seat at the table, you fucking make one. Man, that's powerful. And if you don't know that story, check out Jesse Itzler's story. One of the most amazing out there, just a phenomenal young man, and what he's doing with his family, and ultra marathon runner. That's how we got to the race. And so let's fast forward. Baseball, right, comes to an end. Now it's like, holy shit, I got to go out into the world, right? Mom and dad are doing their thing. Mom's taking care of dad. Now it's kind of Keith's life. It's independent. Right? There's a time in our life where all you teenagers, my son TK, Vinny, my boys, they're going to learn that, hey, when I go off to college, it's different, right? And then when you get done with college, if you're blessed enough to finish it, then you got to go into the real world. So you hit the real world. What did you go do? What did this life experience teach you? Where did you go? Were you washing dishes? Did you become a broker? Did you become, I'm just excited to know where this started.
So kind of started in college, and I'm not going to go too far into it, and I probably shouldn't, and it's not disclosed, but my uncle was on Wall Street.
Yep.
In the 80s and 90s, and when the movie Boiler Room was made, and you see that bullshit Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, everyone loves it. It's cool to watch.
Shout out to Boiler Room. If you haven't seen one of the most gangster sales movies of all time, I mean, just Vin Diesel, Ben Affleck. I mean, just some bad motherfuckers.
Yeah. If you're in business and you're in sales, that's the movie to watch. You want to watch Wolf of Wall Street and feel tough in front of your lady and laugh.
I can't break dance like Leonardo DiCaprio.
It's real. It's a real movie, and it was real what had occurred, but it's fabricated and stretched as bullshit, and you're a rat. But if you watch Boiler Room, none of those people ratted. They were all family. They were all different walks of life: Russians, Jews, Italians. They all came together for the greater cause of money and a good life.
Yep.
And they stuck together. They didn't rat on each other. But, so I'm in high school, graduate, go to college. I remember who my uncle was, my mom's brother. I don't really know much about him. As I'm in college, my mom introduces me to a letter that was written to me from my uncle, who was in federal prison. He was in Pensacola, in Florida, and I start to catch up to speed. Fast forward a little bit, who he was, what he did, whatever, and I start talking to him on the phone. Pensacola was the first federal prison in the country to allow email, so inmates had email addresses, and he would email me. So it was an easier way to communicate. So he would have his, access to a computer or whatever, email me or call me. And we started, shooting shit. I visited him once. I met Steve Madden in prison. So what you see on Wolf of Wall Street, Steve Madden went to prison. He didn't actually do it with Jordan Belfort. He did it with guys from, Boiler Room, which is not a real Boiler Room in real life. There's real company names, but he really did it with them.
Basically, Boiler Room was based on a true story.
Based on so was Wolf of Wall Street.
Well, Wolf of Wall Street is based on a character.
It's based on exactly.
Right.
It's based on a character.
Jordan
the shit
Belfort,
he did was real.
And no disrespect to Jordan, I think Jordan is a business pimp.
No, he's good. He's good.
He's a hustler. Man. He's an earner. He's a sales guy. So shout out to Jordan. However, Boiler Room was more of a family based. To your point, what you're trying to get at, for those that don't know, Boiler Room was a great movie. Of that movie, it was based on a true story.
Yeah.
And instead of based on a character, it was more, or a person, it was based on
storyline.
A storyline.
A real storyline.
Right.
That shit was real, start to finish. And so I'm in college, and now I'm connected with my uncle, who's doing 10 years.
Yep.
He did the most time. I'm not going to say his name. I'm not going to get involved in it. I don't want to talk about it. But he did the most time, and he took it without a word. I remember walking into court in Manhattan when he got sentenced. The whole family went, and he walked in and sat down. Judge stood him up, read him his sentence. Judge asked him if he had anything he'd like to say, and he looked at the judge and said, "That's it? That's 10 years for what I did? Cool." He looked back and said, "I'll see you guys soon," and he walked out. He just walked. He no guards, he just walked on his own, walked the fuck out.
Yeah.
He was like, "All right, I'm good."
He knew what he had to do, and he went and did it.
Yeah, that's just, a bloodline of man's man. Like, I know I'm fucking up right now. And I know the odds are I'm going to get caught, and I know the repercussions. And you got to accept that. And that's the difference between real gangsters and bitches out here. Got a lot of bitches in the world that are trying to be gangster. And now you got, promotion of, and I'm not going to go into this shit, but it's rats and snitches. But, so I'm in college, and I'm talking to him, and he's like,
I will tell everybody that wants to know about snitches and bitches, check out The Wire. It is a phenomenal series. Probably breaks down how things went from the beginning. So HBO's The Wire. Great little show. Check it out.
Oh, watch Wolf of Wall Street.
Wolf of Wall Street will teach you as well. But if you don't want to see coke snorted out of a hooker's butthole, check out The Wire. It's a better show.
You promised me that's what we were watching.
It's not true.
You said Russell made dessert. You said Russell made dessert. We were watching.
No, I didn't. Producer Toner.
Shit, wrong show.
Cut that. That is edited out.
Wrong show. I'm sorry. I was in Tampa last night. Wrong show. So man, we would communicate, and I went to visit him. And
so you want to be a broker?
Yeah, I went to visit him, and he was. Just
so wait a minute. Let's just get this straight. All right. I just want to highlight you're crazy. You're beautiful, crazy, but you're crazy.
Yeah.
Your baseball career is over. You connect with an uncle that is officially not, at that time, the movie wasn't made, but would eventually become a character of a movie that was made about a group of guys that made a lot of money, but then went to prison.
Yep.
And he went to prison for 10 years.
Yep. He did the whole time.
What had you think that was the path for you?
It wasn't just him. So Martin Scorsese visited him in prison, and he turned it down because Martin Scorsese wanted him to tell the whole story like Wolf of Wall Street was. And telling the real story meant you would tell shit about people you just wouldn't do.
Right.
So he was like, "Fuck you, I ain't doing it." And Martin was like, "Hey, dude, you're gonna get out of prison one day, and you're not gonna have a life. Like, you're done. All you knew how to do was sell stocks. Like, you're gonna go sell cars at CarMax or some shit. So this is a payday." He was like, "Nah, fuck you, I'm out. Like, I ain't ranting on nobody." And that's how Jordan Belfort got the role. But Vin Diesel, knowing my uncle, there's shit out there, mob over Miami, all this shit.
Vin was a bouncer in New York, and he kind of was connected before he was a movie star. So he knew some tough guys in New York.
There was a club back in the days in the early 90s called the Palladium. My uncle was part owner, and he was the owner of a place with his partners in Miami called Bubbles with Madonna, and his partner was dating J-Lo at the time. His other financial partner was the king of Saudi Arabia. Like, there was a lot of shit going on in Miami, and there's a whole shit called mob over Miami. That's whatever. So I connect with him, and all of a sudden he's like, hey man, do me a favor, pull up the chart on Under Armour. And I'm like, how the fuck I do that? And like, I'm on AOL stocks or AOL finance, and I'm pulling this shit up, and Yahoo Finance. And he was like, you got any money? I'm like, dude, I'm in college, I'm broke. He was like, dude, you gotta make money, you gotta get a job. He's like, I could tell you shit. So here I am, I write down Under Armour and Baidu, Chinese company, BIDU, ticker symbol. And he tells me the price, and like 5 days later, shit was up like $30, $40 each. And I'm like, what? Like, if I put X amount of dollars in, I would have made like $50, $100. And it's fucking 2005. I'm in college.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit.
It's pre-Bitcoin for everybody that doesn't know that.
Pre-Bitcoin. So I'm like, damn, I gotta make money. And I'm going out to these clubs, and I got some kids in my school, in my college that are at the door asking for $10 at the door, or $20 at the door to get in. I'm like, yo, get the fuck out of here. I'll slap the shit out of you. I ain't paying you nothing. So I'm in one of these places in Nyack in upstate New York, and where I went to school was in Orangeburg. And I'm kicking it with the owner of the place, young guy in his 30s at the time. He's from the Bronx. I'm from Brooklyn. The guy who's running the door for my college is from upstate New York. And I ain't talking shit about nobody upstate New York, but you ain't gonna hold some door down and make money over a fucking city guy. If I got the wind of what's going on, that's my door now. So I got the wind of what's going on. So I told the guy, Mike, yo, listen, let's work out a deal. I'll guarantee you all of this. I know kids in other colleges. I got my team's a baseball team. They're popular. They're banging chicks at other colleges in the area, 3 other colleges. We'll whore them out and we'll get people. I'm like, I want the door. I'm keeping the door for the night. Charging what I'm charging, I'm keeping the door. Here I am, 2004, 2005, on a Thursday night, making $800, $900. What the fuck is going on? I'm buying McDonald's after hours for everybody at the drive-thru. I'm balling. In 2005,
you're going to Sizzler.
I'm spending $40 at a drive-thru, sweating, as if when I spend 20 grand in town nightclub now, I'm sweating.
Yeah.
Right? So now I'm taking out money, and my uncle's calling, and he's like, all right, open this account. I'm like, I can't open this account. So I'm going to my sister's. I'm like, hey, open up this account on back in the day. You remember Scott Trade?
Yeah.
And E-Trade's still here, but Scott Trade was around. That shit was easy as fuck. Anybody dumb could open an account. I give my sister the money. They open an account. I'm like, buy the stock. And then I'm like, oh, he just emailed me, sell the stock. And next thing you know, it's like $50, $60, $100, $200, $300 in 2 days. And my sister's like, how is this happening? I'm like, I have no fucking clue. This man was so smart. He could read the charts from a newspaper, the volume, stock volume. And it's got lost so much in finance, but he would just see the volume, and he was charting just based on the newspaper in prison and picking winners fucking 2 years in a row. Not $1 was lost when he was in prison.
Find me a horse track in the United States that doesn't have that guy.
Homeboy gets out of prison, goes back 2 years later fucking around and losing money. I'm like, you're better off in prison just letting me manage the money. Like, you do the time, you're eating shrimp scampi with fucking Steve Madden, in prison. Yeah, when I walked in the first time I met him, they were like, oh, he's in the yard. They were like, you can go out that door. I'm like, wait, hold on. I ain't got a metal detector. I got my phone on me. Don't worry about it.
Club Fed.
I'm like, he wants this chapstick. I thought I had to give it in a guard to his butthole or some shit. Like, nope. Nope. You could just hand it to him. Like, yeah, it sucks for those inmates. They got to put that chapstick on if it came out of some dude's butthole.
Was it the officer, or were you going to have to put it in your butthole to carry? That's the question I had.
Listen, it's 2023. I mean, today, whatever, man. You got to ride for your people. Back then, nah, my butthole. I was a kid. Come on.
Chapstick's sizable enough, maybe. But anything bigger than that,
BG,
I'm
you're
just going to
losing
say
me here,
no.
brother.
Sorry.
I didn't sign up for this podcast, bro. This
you
ain't
brought it up.
Howard Stern
That's
shit.
all I know is you brought it up.
Man.
All right, so talk about that. You go to Club Fed, you meet him.
Yeah.
And then how does he influence you in that opinion? Because, I'm sure at this point he's teaching you to make money. Now it's like, I remember that moment when, I met guys that could make money. and you meet him and you're like instantaneous, like, teach me.
My guy, he's sitting outside, and I go out the door, and I'm looking. I'm like, this is weird. I feel like I'm at the beach, but there's no water and no sand. It's all grass. This guy's sitting in a beach chair, no shirt, shorts on, and old school. We got the reflective mirror in front of him.
Yeah.
And he's got like this big ass water bottle next to him, and I'm like, what the fuck? Where is he? Like, what the hell's going on? Did I just walk through the wrong door? Did I just leave the prison? Like, I'm in someone's backyard.
Right.
And he's like, he's right there. I'm like, what? And they're like, Wolf. And he looks, and I'm looking. He's like, oh shit. He gets up, runs, hugs me. I'm thinking, you can't touch in prison. You can't hug, nothing. Let's go. And now I'm walking the fucking prison grounds. I'm walking inside. There's no cell.
Right.
It's just bunks chilling. And I'm like, this is weird. I'm in prison. Hold on. Wait, I'm in prison. Like, if I fucked up, I'd be standing here where inmates stand. But yeah, I'm a guest. So it was weird, and just looking at his life and how happy and confident. The problem was he's like my dad. He took his shit like a man. Knowing it was wrong and knowing the consequences, took it like a man.
Yeah.
If you go back and you do anyone, I challenge anyone, do the history on the boiler room era of Wall Street, all the penny stock bullshit. Ain't nobody did any more than 2 to 3 years because they're all fucking rats. My uncle did 10. Lost his whole fucking life. Lost his whole life because he wouldn't rat. His ego today is why he doesn't got nothing today. You look at Belfort, you look at the rest of them, I can name names and tell you. And some of this crowd might be in Miami partying at some of these clubs that some of these guys own. And my uncle just ate it. He ate it. And,
Man, shout out to the realists. You know what I mean? Some of the realists, they get hurt the most. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. I think personally, I've been pressed, and I've been pressed by high level and been pressed just a rat, right? And then I've been, personally, I can say I've been fucked with in that situation to rat more, right? And to rat. And I think at the end of the day, you got to make a choice. And unfortunately, today's youngers are a little softer because, to your point, there were a lot of OGs when I was growing up that 10 years sucks, a 10-year rap sucks, but if
nobody's
it was the cost,
doing time no more, bro. Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing time for nobody anymore. But
there's no accountability on any level. And I think at the end of the day, you find success in what you love. And so you're jiving this like energy of stock markets and reading things, right? And it's funny that you end up becoming a financial planner.
Yeah.
Right. So talk about that transition. You go from kind of working with Unc and the OG of OGs to, like what you have started to become to where you're at today. How did that happen?
I'll give you the 60-second connect there.
Yeah.
So college is doing this thing. I take over the door of the club. I'm taking the money, investing it. It's working out. Playing ball in April 6th of 2006, my senior year. I take a dive in a game. My fucking coach is pissed. Some bullshit ass school is like keeping up with us, right? We're up like 6 runs, and he wasn't happy. And we're 1 game away from the NCAA Northeast Divisional, playoffs
title,
and whatever. And he was like, just drilling us to play harder. And we're playing on a new field, I should say, new grass out in Philly U. And I dive like I've done a million times in my life. And I hit my stomach, herniate my L5S1, fracture my coccyx, and I go numb from the waist down. I make the play. I catch the ball on my stomach playing in a hole between my position, second base, and the first baseman. And I just grab, I make a snag, and somehow I just kind of lift up off my glove hand, my left arm, and push up and, just bend it up for my torso, throw sidearm, throw the kid out. And I try to get up to get off the field, and I had no feeling in my legs, and I was nauseous. So, herniated my L5S1, fractured my coccyx, and that was kind of the demise of my career from there.
So, like, paralyzed.
Yeah,
like
temporarily. It was temporary. It was
for like how long?
A minute. It was just like quick, like maybe like a
60 seconds.
Yeah,
man.
like a nerve spasm.
Especially from the waist down as a dude.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah, shit.
I mean, thoughts.
So I was just like, oh damn, like what the hell? And
yeah,
I can't feel nothing. And I remember who's my best friend, Mike. He's out there playing left field, and our dugout, we're the away team. We're on the third base side, and he sees me not getting up, and he comes running over to me. He's like, "Yo, get up! What's up? What's up?" And I'm like, "I can't feel my legs. I'm nauseous. I'm gonna throw up."
Yeah.
So I kind of get up finally, like an old fucking man, on my one knee at a time, one leg at a time, and I'm hunched over, and I'm like trotting off the field because my coach don't give no fucks. Like, you're breathing? Get the fuck off the field, dude. Why are you embarrassing us? And it was always about the name on the chest, not the name on the back of the jersey, right? Who you representing? You're representing a team right now. Fuck your name on the back.
Right.
He was always about, I'll rip the name off the back. You fuck around. I don't care if you go in the game. You're the only person with no name on your back. I don't care what your mama thinks. You're nameless on my team. So you earn it. And the only name is on the front. So I hobble off the field, and that's it. Back's broke. Fast forward, I get out of college, everything's done. I can't pass a physical. I end up having spine surgery. I'm shot, throw the glove in the garbage. Life's over. Fuck it. I'm in depression. And I'm signing up for all these international teams, a German national team, Irish national baseball for my backgrounds. All my backgrounds I could prove. I'm just trying to get the fuck out. I'm depressed. I want to go travel the world. Get fucked up. We get fucked up, play baseball in these weird countries, right? And just do my thing. And I just couldn't. So fast forward, now my uncle's in my life, and he's
And you
like,
say you couldn't because mainly your back was just shot and no one would pass physical for you.
yeah, it was that, and I matured at the point where I knew, like, I had to get home and fucking work for my mom and dad. Like, there was no more income. Like, they were living beyond poor. It was ugly. I mean, it was just recently.
So not only did you have to deal with your career ending,
Yep.
you had to deal with the reality that one of your childhood heroes and your dad, and one of your lifetime heroes and your mom were like so impoverished that you had to take a step back and sacrifice your future for the present.
I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
I fucking hate this one. And I done everything right up to June 29th of 2022 to give it back. I graduated, while I was in college, my senior year, the winter break in December for Christmas break, my uncle had set me up with one of the last standing boiler rooms, Joseph Stevens, in Manhattan, 59 Maiden Lane, and that's where the shit went down. And he's like, you're going to learn. You're going to go in there, you're going to go in the bullpen, you're going to fucking make $200, $300 a day, get hung up on, get cursed out, have index cards. That's where you're going to go. And he said, I'm going to make a call for you. He makes a call. He said, calls me, says, calls this number, and tell them who you are. I'm like, all right, I call the number. I'm like, hi, I'm Keith. He's like, yeah, tomorrow morning, 7:30. Don't fucking be late. Okay. There you go. I'm taking a train for the first time. I'm there at 7 o'clock because I'm scared shit. These fucking hot shots coming in, fucking Rolexes, Breitlings, Benzes outside. I just took the train. I don't even know what this fucking Mercedes
Sounds like
Benz.
game plan.
I was like, damn, I don't know what's going on right now. I had no idea what's going on. And next thing you know, I mean, they're fucking either hungover, they're coming in from Atlantic City, nightclub the night before. One guy had a girl coming in with him. Like, I was lost. I'm like, what am I doing here? They're doing fucking coke off the desk, off the handle, the old school phones, right off the top of the handle of the phone. Before they dial, they're like, put the phone to their ear and they're dialing. I'm like, what the fuck? And then, the end of the week, they're roll calling checks. Oh, this guy made $10,000. This guy made $30,000 for the week. I'm like, dude, I made $250. My dialing, I got to make $200 a day. I made $250. I mean, yeah, granted, I was in high school. I get it, right? So that's where I went, and that's where I started. I just started fucking dialing.
So instead of like being like, fuck you for making me work for like this, it was like, I want to get to that level.
Nah, I seen what was possible, and Beach, I know like you, dude. I'm sitting, I'm like, this motherfucker sucks. Like, I wouldn't have said that. I would have said something else. And all I started seeing is like, it's ironic because you say like I have a G-Wagon now, but when the G-Wagons first came out, and like, I don't even remember, I'm going to misspeak, probably 2005, 2006, there was some shit called a presidential G-Wagon.
Yeah.
In the parking lot, a cargo truck comes, and the two partners had the first two in New York coming off. And I'm like, what the fuck is that boxy ass ice cream truck looking thing Who the fuck paid?
That's what I thought when I saw yours.
Yeah. All right. Well, so did I. Until I realized, yeah, I actually love the fucking truck. I actually love the truck.
Shout out to G-Wagon if you want to sponsor us. If you don't, kiss my ass. You look like a toaster.
G-Wagon, AMG, Barabbas, all of you. Spent all that money, and he still hates it. But yeah, it's in the shop. No, whatever.
That rate, though, dude. I mean, seriously.
That rate is cool.
Just
but
put me in the will.
Yeah, so, it's just working that system. And
so you saw the money that could be made.
Yeah.
And then that was, so you went into kind of a boiler room status.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was hustling, dialing. Yep. And here's the deal. I want to make sure everybody understands that, because people hear that and like, oh, phone sales. Go fuck yourself. All right. First and foremost, if you have not dialed 200, 300 dials a day, and you have not heard people tell you to cram it, no need, no want, voicemail, fuck you, never call me again, then you don't know what real sales is. Real sales is being rejected so much that you got to be so good that you can get over the rejection, and you can take that middle finger and just turn it into a smile. And it is a very, very hard thing to do. And I want to, for anybody listening right now that's like, oh, sales is easy. Let's see. Easily, customer service and sales are very similar. Why do salespeople make 10 times minimum what a customer service rep's at the top end? Because sales reps can change someone's mind. Customer service just says yes and wants to make them happy. So when you can change someone's mind, when you can change someone's ability, and I mean, shout out Boiler Room. I'll never forget that moment. I'm trying to remember the actor's name that played that character in the movie. RT, you remember that?
The kid.
Yeah, the kid.
Yeah,
the kid. He's a great actor. He's
amazing. It reminds me, what he looks like? Shia LaBeouf, whatever his name. He looks like him. It looks like him. I don't know. Somebody find his name.
Tonal find it, but I would say that he was just amazing. Because he got in, he saw what you saw. When I got into the industry that I eventually kind of found my first level of success in, Jared's sitting here. He's one of the guys. I'll never forget. I walk in, I was told like, oh man, these are all a bunch of young killers. They're making shit tons of money. It's like, really? And like, I'm just that guy that was like, man, I can't remember. I think I was 28, 29 and pretty cocky but just never made good money. If I could make $100,000 a year, man, what I wouldn't do, right? And so I go in and there's Mercedes and BMWs and all kinds of stuff in the lot, and it is all about that. Who's the guy?
Giovanni Ribisi.
Yeah,
Giovanni Ribisi.
Took off after that. He got
did.
into more movies.
Had a lot of great movies. So shout out to Giovanni, great actor. But for Boiler Room, that and Wall Street, the original with Charlie Sheen, Michael Douglas. Those kind of shaped me, and I became a commodities broker at 20. Realized early there was a lot of money in that, and didn't care about money because, again, I was more of a missionary's kid, so that wasn't my thing at the time. It was just about competition. But I will never forget Boiler Room. I'll never forget Ben Affleck's speech at that table when he throws his Ferrari keys across the table. There are moments in life that you realize, hey, look, I can do more. And I want to go back to this because I think it matters. You either look for an excuse or you look for a way. You saw something that was very difficult. You saw something that was very rejection-led. I'm going to guess of those $200 a day that you had to make on those cards, a good 80% of them told you to go F yourself.
80 is a nice number.
A nice number, right?
I mean, and you were nice about the rejections. I mean, you got called loser.
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
I had a guy once tell me to go pump gas. It's more noble. I was like, dang, man, you must hate your wife. You got a problem at home, man. You need a therapist or some shit.
Hey, brother.
But I actually thought about it, too. I was like, damn, I got my chair. So I sat down one time, and I got my chair taken away. I could never sit again. I worked there 3 months. I couldn't sit fucking down. I come in every morning. I no longer they actually took a screwdriver and disassembled my fucking chair and left it in the corner. I had to see my chair every day, disassembled. Because I sat down. I was like on my 150th call, and I was frustrated because I was coming in early. I was working for this one company. I was coming in early in the morning, like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. I'm calling like London, overseas. And I had asked for this guy who was on this business card, and I guess his wife answered, or someone answered, a woman answered. She was like, no, he's on holiday. And I'm like, oh, okay, you know, I hope you have a great holiday, blah, blah, blah. I hang up and I'm like, it's dead summer. I'm like, looking at the guy next to me, what fucking holiday is this shit? Why is everyone telling me holiday? It ain't Christmas. What fucking holiday shit? So he looks at my stack of cards. He's like, oh, yeah, you're calling Europe. Holiday is vacation. They're on vacation. I'm like, motherfucker, this whole time I'm wishing everyone a happy holiday. I don't even know what holiday I'm missing. I'm thinking I got to get home and buy my mom or somebody some shit. I'm like, God, I'm fucked up. Like, I really need help. I'm missing holidays.
Over in Europe, they go on holiday, right? And holiday is a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Man. It's fucking vacation. Just fucking tell me. You know I'm American. I'm white as fuck. I'm asking you. You just couldn't tell me what's up. Why you gotta abuse me? Like, you couldn't just say, sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. He's on vacation or he's not in the office. Holiday, and I'm over here like an asshole, like wishing a Merry Christmas or some shit, and it's fucking July, and I'm like, you know, oh yeah, happy holiday. What the fuck? And so I sat down, frustrated, and next thing you know, I got my shit kicked out, and I'm like, what the fuck? He's like, there's no fucking sitting down. You don't have 250 tallies. I had an index card. I had to make tallies. Five of the tallies.
I remember the tallies.
I'm like, man, I never got a chair again. So back to your point, man, you know, when I got out of college, I just knew I had to fucking work. I came home from college and I saw how poor we were.
Yeah.
We were fucking poor.
Yeah.
And there's some shit I ain't gonna say, you know, but I knew we were poor.
Hey, shout out to syrup sandwiches. If you haven't had a syrup sandwich, then you don't know what the fuck we're talking about. But
it's as poor as like I was a kid. We'd have eggs in the morning, and if you didn't finish your eggs, you had that shit with potatoes on a fucking sandwich at night. Salt, pepper, ketchup. We had a potatoes and egg sandwich. That was the leftover fucking eggs from the morning.
So what I think is funny is you don't get enough of this. All right, here's somebody that you would see today driving a Rolls Royce Wraith. You know, dipped in the Jordans, got a little drip going on. He's shredded. And you think, what a privileged prick.
Yeah.
And the reality is what you've heard is nothing. His life has been filled with nothing but adversity. What's your life been filled with? What's your fucking excuse? I got a question for you. What is your fucking excuse? I'm talking to you, I'm talking to you, and I'm talking to you over there. What the fuck is your excuse? You weren't born with two parents? You grew up poor? Well, you're looking at two fucking people that grew up poor. I had a house till I was 6. My dad, we grew up in a trailer. We traveled all over. I wanted to be a pro football player. I lived on couches. I didn't graduate college. I think that this show should be the motivation for you sitting there listening, because I'm going to finish and wrap this up and have a drink with Keith, and we're going to have a great night. And tomorrow he's going to get on a private jet and go home, and I'm going to stay in my very nice house and sleep like a fucking baby. But what are you going to do? What do you want to do? Do you want to get out there and go get it? Then go. LFG. Whatever it is. You don't like LFG? Find your own fucking acronym. But find something that works for you. Because when I look in the mirror, all I see is LFG. You know what? You don't like your people don't like you. Someone doesn't like you. You got this going against you. So the fuck what, man? Everybody's got something going on. Shout out to Cam Haynes. No one cares. Work harder. So I would say that, you know, if you can't hear a story like Keith's and realize and see him walk out of a nice Malibu. I mean, man, I got to stay at his apartment in Hollywood. He's in LA. He's like on the prime spot. And you would see him get in that car and you would see him get in that apartment and you'd be like, that lucky motherfucker. But as you just heard his story, where's the luck? I don't hear luck. I hear perseverance. I hear adversity and an ability to overcome that.
You know, Beach, before you close, I got to say something.
Yeah.
You call me Lambo Keith. I know it's an ongoing family joke, inside joke. And
it's not an inside. We're going to let the world know why that is.
Yeah, whatever. I get it. I own 4 or 5. Whatever. It is what it is. But I'll tell you, though, owning them, I owned them at a bad time of life. And I owned them when I was trying to find myself. I was trying to buy friends, buy ego, buy everything. And I got out of the angry fighting stage. And now I'm like, oh, man, I'm older. I got to attract these girls and I want all these cool things around me and, you know, buying $100,000 watches and, you know, all this shit. And I was doing it before I actually really had it all.
Buying confidence, would you say?
No.
No? What would you say it
I'll
was?
fuck a motherfucker up. That's my confidence. I'll go fucking drop a motherfucker right in front of his girlfriend in a club and then buy her a
So
drink.
what was the 100-gram watch for?
It was just fitting in with the wrong people. I was being a clown.
Okay.
Straight up clown. I'll tell you today, during COVID, the height of the market, I sold every fucking materialistic thing I had. I don't know. I had a life change. I was, in a different place, and I just, things changed for me. But, comes a time where you do those things, and it's a bad time in life. When you catch yourself trying to do things that don't fit who you genuinely are, and it's most important. If I could let anyone know something, this podcast that you're going to venture out and go on a journey with, there's many out there. I have them all saved on my phone. And I ain't going to say no one's name. But you hear all these riches and all this fame and, oh, I grew up poor and I did this. But you never fucking have another person in the seat from the person who's running the podcast or his podcast, another identical person you, and then another one and another one telling you the same fucking story, leading to the same outcome. But yet you have all these high profile, big wig names on there, which may or may not, we can't prove it, grew up poor or not. And next thing you know, they just got the Michael Jordans in their seats, right? And you're getting sold the same bullshit story that you get sold on social media. And I think something about this podcast, and we skipped around a lot. And I want to come back because I want to get a more scripted and again, structured idea, because I think there's a lot of content for a lot of people out there. But you're going to get, I think, on this podcast, a range of people who may not come from my background or BG's background, but may come from a more fortunate. But you're going to hear the fucking truth from the start. I don't want to talk about today. I don't give a fuck about today. I'm sitting in a white t-shirt that I flew on an airplane in. I didn't fucking shower. We were at a bar earlier.
I meant to tell you, you do need a shower.
I don't give a fuck. What do I care? I'm fucking rich. I don't got a shower. Fuck showering, man.
Fair enough.
I got Russell Steak and I got fucking Kamara and I got Rhino and I got these dogs and I'm out here. Nobody's gonna smell me on this fucking compound you live on.
You're right. Fair enough.
I don't give a fuck. All right, different when I get on a private jet and I go home. Yeah, I'm spraying my Tom Ford and I'm leaving this shirt for the dogs to piss on. But nah. But it's different. And I truly, and I've listened and I've been on, and Jared in your organization has hooked me up to interview people in the Super Bowl, at the Hall of Fame, Vince Carter, Tim Brown, Andre Reed. And it's cool to shoot the shit with some successful people, but you talk about their foundations and all from the success up. And I think how we can help, right? I don't think we could change the world, but how we can help individuals. And I think this is not ego for you. And we were fucking around earlier. You talk about I'm not getting paid for this shit. I don't know how Rogan does it. I don't give a shit. Because you
shout out to Joe. I do love Joe though.
Joe's awesome. If there's any podcast out there, Joe Rogan.
and to be clear, our topic was everybody wants to be Joe. I couldn't even. I love Joe so much. I couldn't even. I think even trying to be like Joe is an insult. So at the end of the day,
don't do it.
We got into LFG to not make any money. We're not making a dime right now on the show. We don't want to, but we would love to if people want to pay us and we can find a worth that is desirable from our viewership. But I think at the end of the day, I've just got some really cool friends. And I think you just heard one of them. Wow. And there's more. There's, we're going to have Tyler West on. Tyler West is a 21-year-old, 22-year-old young guy. Yeah, you're right. He does not have our life story. He comes from privilege. His parents are two of the most beautiful people I've ever seen in Denton and Courtney West. They're gorgeous. Their kids are gorgeous. It's a very unique lifestyle, but he is a mirror a little bit of my 21-year-old self right now. And so we're going to be talking to him because he's in the clubs and he's partying, but he's also working for a boiler room. He's also hustling. And so I think, take the generation out of it, right, Keith? Gangsters are gangsters because they believed in what was family and a core of ethics that they would die for. That term gangster sometimes is turned into a negative, or it is a negative, right? Because gangster means illegal, it means bad. But that's the way you see it. Some people see it as family. Some people see it as something more because there's enough hypocrisy. I think we see it in our news today more than ever before There is enough hypocrisy that I don't want to hear, I love police officers and I give them all the respect. Military, I give you all the respect. I think that you deserve more training. I think you deserve more money. But I also don't think anyone deserves the right to use an excuse to live a shitty life or to act like a shitty person. You don't like your life? Fucking change it. You don't like what your situation is? Shut the fuck up and change it. Because the reality is, no one gives a fuck. No one's going to help you. Now, you have people in your life that will open doors for you. But you have to be the person to run through it. Just because someone opens a door doesn't mean that all of a sudden, oh, hey, man, you need to come work for my company. And I give you a shot and you walk into my doors and I hire you and I train you and I give you my gift and my knowledge. And we just talked about it. We've done $200-300 a day. And maybe 6 months from now, you're like, you want me to do $100 a day? Bro. Well, you know what? Go sell your toes on OnlyFans and see how much fucking money you can make over there, because you ain't making any money in sales. That's where you make your money, is through perseverance, is through adversity, is through having some fucking just, right? Go back to that. I'm trying to think of the movie with my man Matthew McConaughey, where he's just like, you feel that? That's Wolf of Wall Street, right? Well, yeah. So it's like,
we're gonna get 2 martinis every 7 minutes until we pass the fuck out.
So real quick, before we end,
Yep.
right? I think it's good to end on a high note. And you've heard Keith's story. You've heard of everything from things that are probably across the line of legal to, and probably stayed over there, right? I mean, basically you got motivated. You were really a role model to your father, who was shot in criminal activities. Your uncle, who had his stint in success, but 10 years in the prison. So you have found a way to take these bad experiences and turn them into positives, where now you're a very legal, a very upstanding, a very incredible financial planner, a person that knows how to help people financially and do it with a fiduciary responsibility. But the other thing that you've done is you've given to charity, man, probably as much or more than anybody I've known. And so I want to highlight that, man, because you can find that thing, like we said earlier, you got to find a way to get through it. But man, one thing Keith and I really bond on is I believe in being giving today. I believe that I am blessed to bless others. And if you're ever privileged enough to have enough for yourself, you have 2 choices: pile that shit up and brag about how much you got, or start giving and investing in others. And one of the most amazing stories that I just want to kind of finish with is your first story with Disney and Make-A-Wish.
Make-A-Wish, yeah.
So can you kind of tell that story and how you came across that? I think that's a great way for us to finish up.
So I had been at an event and I met this gentleman. His name is John Crowley. He's the founder and CEO of Amicus Therapeutics in New Jersey. His daughter has a rare blood disease, and there's a true movie out, real movie out, and I don't know the name of it. I'm gonna botch it up, and I'm pissed. Damn, and it is, I don't know, something with therapeutics and stuff. But John Crowley, he was working for a big pharmaceutical firm, and his daughter had a disease, Pompei's disease. And at that time, Pompei's, you didn't live past 7. His daughter was 6. And he's banging down doors and trying to figure out the formula to how.
He's in a race to save his daughter's life.
Yeah, and he meets this guy in Michigan, and he's got the formula. This is some washed up scientist that got burnt out.
Was it What to Watch?
No. Yes, that's it. Extraordinary Measures. So Extraordinary Measures. That's it.
Town, producer Town on it.
That's why you have her, right?
She's
Without
a great
her,
one.
we ain't got shit here. We'd be stupid. We'd be talking about nothing. We'd be talking about what we drank and ate. I mean,
Just making shit up.
I mean, it ain't shit. It ain't shit. You gotta have Russell on here do a cooking thing, because if you don't have him here, fuck, I'm sitting here squeezing because my stomach. I'm about to take a nap. If it wasn't for you and this bourbon, I'd be sleeping. That fucking meal was better than any 5-star steakhouse in the world.
Man, we're blessed.
And we've eaten some good shit. We've eaten that Hokkaido fucking steak.
Yeah.
I'm about to go fight Rhino for leftover right now.
You see why I struggle leaving the George compound.
Shit.
It's here.
Yeah. So Yeah, so I seen him, and after the event's over, I'm
Now
like,
his daughter, you said Pompey's disease, so you said
His daughter has
they
it.
don't leave and they don't live past
has
8.
seven, yeah.
and she was
and I'm sorry
just
if
under
it's
that
not
age.
7, it's 8 or whatever. I apologize.
Right. But there's a certain young age.
I believe it's 7, right?
Right.
From my memory. So, he's telling the story, and then this is years ago, 10, 15, 20 years ago. And he's working for this pharmaceutical firm, and he meets this guy in Michigan. Him and his wife drain their bank account trying to find a cure. Finally, this washed up, denied scientist of every cure out there, he always brought it to people, and they're like, oh, shit, he found the cure. Today, he'd be killed. Maybe Clinton would kill him. I don't know. Sorry. Anyway, moving right along. Edit that out, please. Yeah, we're all fucking dead. UFOs will be flying over here tonight. We're fucked.
I don't want to say it, but the body count is big.
Yeah, we're fucked. Delete that. All right,
Sorry.
edit. It's Keith Ryan on the podcast.
Hashtag already canceled. Hashtag already canceled.
Hashtag my name's Darryl LeMayo. So he tells the whole story, and I'm like, dang. So they washed out their bank account, and they go to the pharmaceutical company he works for, and they're like, hey, we got this cure. Can you help us? It's my daughter. Yeah. And they're like, there's no money in the cure.
Money's in medicine.
Like if we just cure this girl at 7 and she lives and no longer needs the system, we're fucked. And this is what we're seeing today. There's no money in that. Why would we do that? So he quits, raises money, gets into private equity, starts doing this whole pitch, does this. Now here we are. Fast forward, his daughter's still alive. His daughter went to an Ivy League fucking college. She went to Notre Dame. And they make this extraordinary movie measures after him. I think it's the most courageous fucking thing in the world. I watch this time and time again. I cry every fucking time. So I meet him. He's like, yo, I'm in New Jersey. You're in New Jersey. I'm a big part of Make-A-Wish Foundation, New Jersey. You should come down. If you want to be a part of something big and you don't know where to start here. I meet him. I meet the director. And this is the only...
Let's start there for a second, though. Slow down. Why did you feel like you had to help somebody else?
I came to a point
No
in my
one was
life,
asking. No one was asking for it.
No, and this is where I am. This part of my life where I am now. My mom's passed now 7 months. My mom was the giver. My mom had nothing. We had nothing, and I said it earlier. And my mom would always cry. We would turn on TV during the holidays, and you see these shows, and there was a guy on TV, and I don't know what country he's in, but you see these poor, fortunate kids behind him. And it was like $quarter a day, all these advertisements. My mom would always cry, like, I just want to adopt someone. I'd freak the fuck out. I'm like, no, motherfucker, no, I'm the baby boy in this house. You ain't bringing nobody else in here. I would freak out, right? But my mom was always... We would get the stamps back in the day from St. Jude's, right? They would send you a book of stamps with your name on it to put on envelopes because you donated. They would give you something. Yeah. So my whole life, I'm always seeing my mom giving shit. And I'm like, you ain't got shit to give. What are you giving? Right? So that's all she ever did. And, we got into something. We got off track when you were like earlier about, coming out of college, and I had to like figure it out and fucking make it. Yeah. When I graduated college, first of all, no only one of my family went to college. And I graduated. And when I started working on Boiler Room and not Boiler Room, the movie, but Boiler Room itself, and working in these Wall Street firms, these guys are coming in with all these flashy watches, Breitlings and Rolexes. And
what are you wearing?
I'm wearing an AP.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those guys, actually, you're one of them now. Yeah. Fair enough.
Whatever. Anyway, I'm gonna finish my story. Okay?
Sorry,
I'm gonna finish my story.
You can't have that beautiful fucking watch on and sit here in front of me. I can't be true to my audience and not call it out. It's a fucking gorgeous watch.
Right. Yeah. So I come home one day and my mom's buying me suits, chaps from Ralph Lauren, chaps from Kohl's. I'm wearing these boxy ass fucking suits. These dudes are getting fucking tapered up, standing on the stool. Old Italian guys marking them up. They're getting dressed up in the office, and I'm wearing some boxy ass grandpa fucking chap suit from Kohl's.
Just so you know, I wore chap suits from 9 years old to 17 years old as a preacher's kid, and I looked boxy as fuck. So
I'm about to tell the whole world he's lying because his big ass don't fit in chaps.
No, I do. Ralph Lauren chaps.
That's called so my dad shopped in the Big and Tall magazine that came in. That's what you had, Big and Tall, motherfucker. That was like yaps. Like, oh shit, that was yappy big. Come on, man. We just got finished telling we ain't gonna lie to the audience. Now you talking about you wore chaps. Nah, man.
I wore yaps.
You ain't got no chaps in Louisiana.
We don't. We had IE yaps. That's what we had.
You ain't got no chaps, Louisiana. Stop that shit. So yeah. So I come. So I'll make it quick. My mom. I tell her, I'm like, everyone's got these watches and these suits, and I'm like, embarrassed. So I graduated college. My mom tells me it graduated on my birthday. And she's like, I'm sorry, I just didn't have enough money to get you a gift right now, but I have something coming. It's really, really cool. It's really important. I promise you it'll make up for everything. I'm like, all right. So my birthday's in May. Christmas comes, and she tells me the day before Christmas, she's like, look, I'm going to give you this gift. It was what I told you on your birthday, and it just took me this long to pay it off. And I'm like, what the fuck? So it was just one box. And I seen her crying, and it was weird. It was an awkward moment. And I'm like, opening it slowly. It was a fucking Breitling special edition mother of pearl diamond face.
Come on.
I was like, oh, fuck, Mom, you went to Canal Street? You got me to Fugazi? Like, damn, all right, I'll wear it.
Fugazi.
My mom sold her wedding ring. She sold all her jewelry. And she took the money she was making taking care of my dad, and every month put $50, $100, and she paid off for almost 9 months to buy me that watch. For her being a baby boy and graduating college. Yeah. And then going into Wall Street, she wanted me to have that confidence to fit in. And just like show up.
A mother's love, bro. It doesn't.
You know, and when she did that, and I learned.
Let me ask you something. When you put that watch on, did it change you?
Nah, what fucked me up was to find out that she sold all her jewelry to give that to me.
So the watch was nice. The watch was nice.
Nah, I felt like it was. I felt like first I didn't deserve it.
Why did you feel like that?
Because I know my mom gave something up that meant a lot to her that she earned over her life.
Yeah.
And I know moms have a certain, persona.
Not a certain, bro. An absolute love.
Yeah, absolute love. But
she would have sold her soul for that watch.
My mom didn't eat meals when I was growing up just so I had a meal.
Yeah.
But to give up everything you love, to give me something materialistic. Yeah. And unfortunately, for many years, I got out of control, and that's what stupid fucking name Lambo Keith and all this shit, and then materialistic shit came into play. And it's real. It fucks you up. But I realized when I looked one day, and I got all that was in a relationship, I'm like, Mom, you don't wear a wedding ring. Where's your wedding ring? What does it look like? She's like, oh, yeah, I got rid of it a long time ago. I don't like jewelry. And I realized the jewelry box was empty, but it had my baseball little trading cards and little bullshit, spare keys to the car and the house. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? And then as I got older, I found out my mom sold everything. And that's what clicked. If you ask me what point in my life clicked where I'm like, yo, I got to fucking make it or something, it was right there. When I looked at my mother one day and I'm like, she gave up meals so I could eat. Yeah. She sold all her shit so I could have a dumbass fucking watch to go fit in and feel happy. And that's what made her feel.
But that dumbass watch, after you found out that she did all that,
fucking fueled my life.
Absolutely. So fast forward. You meet this guy. His daughter has this rare disease. Yep. He says, hey, make a wish. If you want to help, this is where you start. Yep. Tell everybody what happened next and what you chose to do.
He connects me to the director of Make-A-Wish Foundation, New Jersey. At the time, maybe 29 years old, 30 years old. And the director's like, hey, come visit. You know, we have a unique castle here. We're the only chapter of Make-A-Wish in the country that actually has a castle built and designed by Disney. And it's magical. There's actually a magical room built. And I'm like, oh, damn. I walk in, and I'm all choked up. Yeah. I'm like, I didn't see nobody. I walked in, it was empty. Like, everybody was in their offices, and I'm like, oh, shit. And then people and kids and families are doing their own thing. They're there for certain reasons. And, you know, he takes me through the whole tour. He brings me in the magical room. He shuts the door. You take this little key out of a box, like a Cinderella princess idea. You take it out of this box and you put it in and you push the button, and all of a sudden the whole room is like, what do you have in your movie room? What's it called? The
projector, like a screen, yeah.
So it's all set up, right?
Yep.
So the shooting stars, and it's to give a kid a wish. It's the wish room.
Right. So the child that is ill, that's making a wish, comes into the room. They've got a key. They put the key in this box, and then this entire fucking room surrounds them through like Disney animation, which kudos to Disney, like is phenomenal. The room starts to change, and there's shooting stars, and it looks like the sky. It looks like something magical is about to happen.
Yeah, and the kid's given the wish. So after he hits the button, he's supposed to like speak to himself about what he wishes. And his family is sitting in chairs in the background. And he goes up and he's supposed to be brave. Spotlight's on him. He's by himself. He hits the button. Boom. All this design goes around for like 30, 45 seconds, whatever. And so I go to visit and he was like, oh, there's a child here about to make a wish. You want to witness it? And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And so he gets the family's permission. I'm standing in the background. I'm fucking bawling. I'm bawling. I'm like, yo, my life, what am I thinking about my life? Like, where have I gone? Of course, I'm crying. So I walk out and the family.
And you felt all that just because you saw someone.
It all hit me. It was a
What
time in my
hit you?
life. Like, I'm watching this kid that is facing death.
Yeah.
Courageous enough to walk up in the spotlight by himself. And like you see in movies, like if you're in like a tomb and the sunlight's coming
Right.
in
This is
on
the
this
moment.
one spot.
Yep.
This boy's up there. He looks back. You don't see nobody because it's dark. It's like being on stage. And he walks up there. He hits this button. He's watching the stars. And at the same time, he's supposed to be giving his ultimate wish. Like, oh, if I could have one thing. And I'm looking at this kid. I'm like, this kid might not even fucking get it. And I'm sitting here worried about a watch. I'm rolling up in $100,000 car. I don't even have $100,000. I'm fucking faking it. And I'm like, what am I doing? And I watched my mom give my whole life, give and give and give. I walk out, I'm bawling. And I'll never forget, I told the director, I'm like, what did he wish for? Oh, he just wants to go to Legoland in California. And I'm like, oh, how does that work? So he was like, oh, so our planners plan it. They work, we make a wish, makes it works with Legoland, Disney, and all this. And we work out a deal, flights and everything. Like, how much some shit like that costs? He's like 12, 15 grand for the day. And I'm like, so they fly in, they go to Legoland, they sleep, and then they come home. Yeah. It's usually one parent. I'm like, but he's got a sister and a mother. So he's like, yeah. I'm like, nah. So I'm like, how much for the whole family? So they call me the next day. It was like 19.5. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like, but he's going to go all the way out there and not go to Disney or whatever? And what, And they're like, yeah, no. I'm like, nah, add that in too. Next thing you know, it's $30,000. I got the whole family going. BG, I didn't even have fucking $3,000 in the bank. But I was learning at the time, annuities and insurance sales and the business. And I'm like, I just got to make a couple of these sales. And so I tell the director, I'm like, hey, listen, I'm 30 years old, man. I don't know what the fuck I'm getting into, but I want to help. Can I pay this off? He was like, yeah, absolutely. Don't worry about it. They got to go through medical clearance. It takes like 6 months, whatever. And they go there in nice time. So you got like 6 months. I'm like, all right, cool. I committed to $30,000 my first year in the business. I didn't even have 3,000.
So wait a minute. What I didn't know is so you did this your first fucking year in the business?
First fucking year, $30,000.
And you commit to 30 G's of charitable money. That's not money to pay the bills. That's not money to pay the fucking
I had to go on a payment plan.
Fiero. I'm sure it wasn't a Lambo when you started, but I bet you had a nice Fiero.
I had an Infinity.
Of course you did. But you decided 30 G's. I'm not even going to use it. I'm not going to take it. I'm going to invest it.
I didn't have it.
But you decided you're going to fucking take 6 months to pay it off.
Truth, I went into $100,000 in debt to pay that 30 grand. I stopped paying bills as commission came in just to meet that obligation. Because that meant more to me than the creditors. I made a promise to a boy.
Yeah.
Who had, blastoma, brain tumor, and I'm not going to get into that, but why? Another leading cause of why I'm like motivated to that cause. And I went into 100 grand in debt on my Amex, and because I wasn't paying the bills and I was just backing up, and I was taking out other loans and business loans to pay other loans, and all just to make a wish to 30 grand. And when I did it, and that family went, and I got a letter from the family when they came back in a picture.
Yeah.
I lost my shit. I'm like, I'm fucking doing it again. Next year, I'm on the board next to in New Jersey. Fedway is a big liquor distributor.
Yeah.
Top. Toys R Us is the biggest donor. First bracket down, Fedway, Tito's Vodka, FedEx, Rightbridge Financial, my company. Second year it's open. I'm on the board with the big boys. And that's all I cared about. And it wasn't just my ego. It was like I looked up and I seen the people on the floor and the kids and the families and what I was doing. And it was the biggest motivator. Problem was I got too cocky and I'm out here donating and giving, and I had more money, and then I wanted to be a big dog. I wanted to be with the top people, and I'm seeing all these people at the pulling up with limos and Rolls Royces and Ferraris, and I got a fucking '92 Infiniti Q45. Like I'm like fuck. I go out and get myself Infiniti, then a Benz, and then obviously all the way through and I lost control. And charitable shit has always been my thing. It's been my mom's thing. I tried to give a bone marrow transplant one time in Miami to a young girl. I didn't know what a bone marrow transplant was, but somebody had told me this girl was dying that they knew and that she needed a match. So I became part of Be a Match organization because I tried to give a bone marrow transplant to a child in Miami Children's Hospital I had no idea about. And I did that. And, it's just become second nature to me where, as you grow up, you realize the Lambo shit and materialistic shit. Yeah, I got a nice watch, whatever. I'll fucking sell it today. I don't give a shit. It's not even on the right time or date anyway. It's how fucking bogus this shit is.
First of all, quit trying to diminish it, and it's not the only one you have, motherfucker. So I will call you out. How many fucking? I will next thing if you make me, I'm gonna ask you about your watch collection. So don't make me do that.
We're not going there.
Now, but I will say this. You went $100,000 in debt to pay off a $30,000 fucking loan to a kid and a charity at a Make-A-Wish Foundation. If you want to know why I'm friends with this motherfucker today, it's because of that story. That is amongst everything else. That story of a guy that will sell everything for someone else. Man, I love that. And guess what? I don't give a fuck about your dad's situation. I don't give a fuck about your family's affiliations. I know this. Lambo Keith, never diminish the name, because here's the deal. My 18-year-old son and his friends, everyone that's met Keith gets excited when Lambo Keith's coming to town. I mean, like my son looked like Christmas today when he knew Keith was coming in. And it's because
getting out of school.
He did try getting out of school. And I would say that that's the quality of human that you've become. And if you heard anything, you just heard, and man, Keith, I can't tell you thank you enough for just being vulnerable. And, as OGs, as tough guys, you embody New York, you embody that New Jersey, New York swag, drip, confidence, and with you, it's real, it's not fake. So there's a whole nother show that we can talk about. But what I think is important is knowing that where my friends come from and where this guy came from, you heard about tonight. What this guy dealt with, you heard about tonight. And you didn't hear anybody give him shit. You didn't hear anybody tell him anything that made him who he was today. You basically took everything in stride. You looked for a way, not an excuse. And I want to remind everybody of this. And even in your talks of how you talk about yourself, your biggest strength is your biggest weakness, period. You know what I mean? If you want to make it simple, you are somebody, and typically like with a relationship, a girl may see you and they love what they see, but then they want to come in and they want to change that, but then they find out that what they liked about you was really something your core, and you're not going to change it. Your biggest strength is inevitably always your biggest weakness. And so people that love you need to know that. And what I know is my friend Lambo Keith, his biggest weakness is his love for other people. So I don't give a fuck what he's went through. I know the guy that I have today sitting on my couch, going to sleep in my home tonight, ate food with me, broke bread with me. My son idolizes, my friend, my kids idolize, my friends idolize, is a guy that has went through it all. And he shared that with you tonight.
Here we